So we have tons to discuss, but I really want to start with this. It's a cloud, it's beautiful, but what does it actually mean?
So this is a data visualization of 250,000 tweets over 5 months. Our CBC colleague Roberto Rocha collected all of these. They're retweets that MPs and candidates put out throughout the campaign.
Okay, why retweets?
Retweets are passive. You're sharing information that you didn't create. So he wanted to see if candidates were sharing disinformation or highlighting bots or other kinds of accounts that spread disinformation.
Yeah, and it's probably easiest if we just let Roberto explain it.
Okay.
What you see here is a diagram of the retweets by federal candidates. We see there are these colored neighborhoods, and you see clustered in the middle here are news accounts. These are mostly mainstream news accounts, and this means that candidates really retweeted a lot of mainstream news sites. We don't really see much evidence of misinformation accounts. But if you start looking at the most retweeted news account by party, then some interesting differences come out. For example, the People's Party. The most popular news account was the Post-Millennial, which has been criticized in the past for having some problematic stories, non-reliable information mixed with opinion. And in all, we did this research to see if candidates would get baited by misinformation on Twitter. And we're happy to see that for the most part, they didn't.
So that's Twitter. Relatively good news if we can say that the candidates aren't largely pushing disinformation, but what about the rest of us?
So we actually analyzed some of the topics that people talk about around the election on Google Trends and on Twitter, and these typically divisive issues come up a lot, you know, healthcare, the environment, and immigration. And immigration actually we saw was trending upwards towards the end of this week.
And we know that there's disinformation on all of these topics, but immigration tends to get the most divisive language and imagery. For example, we see here in this Facebook post, and this post has been shared over 120,000 times, so that's huge. And this post claims that one refugee gets monthly payments of almost $4,000. But that's misleading because what this picture actually shows is it's a one-time payment for a family of 5.
But does that actually have impact?
We can actually see that the same kind of disinformation and the false claims that we're finding online are getting echoed in the misunderstandings that Canadians have. There was an Angus Reid poll just last week that showed that Canadians have a lot of misperceptions about immigration. 65% of respondents thought that the #1 region where immigrants to Canada come from is the Middle East, and that's actually the 4th largest region.
Okay, you've been tracking disinformation for months, and I'm sorry about that because it's really hard. What surprised you?
After the 2016 US election and after Brexit, I think we expected here in Canada during this campaign, we would see a coordinated push of disinformation. And we haven't seen that. I mean, it's still sinister, but we're seeing it, it's smaller, it's fractured.
Yeah, we're seeing these pockets of disinformation popping up in little places, and it's much more domestic rather than foreign influenced.
And just like, you know, in 2016, we didn't know then what we know now about disinformation, there still could be a big reveal down the line.
And there's still a week to go.
That's for sure.
That's right.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.